Joined now by FS1 NBA analyst Chris Broussard. What's your take on? Do you think that will make LeBron stay in Cleveland?
Direct quote I was given about what last night's draft, the effect that might have on LeBron, from somebody who would know, was zero. So, no, that's not going to impact him. But there have been developments. So I think the two things that we have to look at with LeBron are there is a growing sentiment that Paul George is staying in Oklahoma City. Now, whether or not that's true, we'll find out. But there's a growing sentiment of that, including among those close to LeBron. Okay. Then, of course, Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, the Spurs right now have no intentions of playing ball with the Lakers. So let's look at this. If Paul George stays in Oklahoma City and Kawhi Leonard does not get traded this summer, does LeBron go to the Lakers by himself and essentially waste a year? Waste your 16th year. Like, how many more years is he going to have at the height of his game?
Shannon says no, correct?
No, I don't see him going to L.A. for a year, because it's a throwaway year.
Yeah. Okay. So, remember, he doesn't have to become a free agent. He has the option. So how, if those two scenarios play out, what about the option, and I'm told Cleveland is still an option, of staying in Cleveland one more year? I heard you say they would be the favorites.
Sure.
I don't think they'd be the favorites in the East. I think Boston and Philly would be the favorites. I know you would have them, but so if there's no pressure on him to win, if LeBron gets to the finals, then he's praised. And I do agree with you. Look, they had a chance to win 2 of those 3.
They did.
And maybe if Sexton is better than advertised or comes on quick, or maybe they can make a move before the deadline or this summer, maybe he just stays one more year. His son is going into 8th grade, not 9th grade. So it won't affect, you won't have to be moving him around from high school. And then in the summer of 2019, because Kawhi's thinking right now is I'm going to be in the Los Angeles, and preferably with the Lakers. And if the Spurs don't trade me, then I will be there in 2019 as a free agent. So maybe in 2019, LeBron just says, okay, I'll play out this year in Cleveland. And in 2019, let's see what the playing field looks like. Maybe me and Kawhi go to the Lakers together as free agents then. So,
That does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't think I definitely don't think he wants to go to, say, a Houston for a year or Philly for a year and then L.A. or whatever, so.
Colin, LeBron did need a few pieces. He needed a few pieces of Popeye's chicken. Extra spicy. That's what the pieces he need. Skip, look. And that might be true, Chris. Okay, 35, so basically $36 million he were to opt in. I do not believe LeBron could even get back to, it would be a struggle for him to get to the Eastern Conference Finals with this roster.
I don't necessarily disagree. They have a shot, but that's the point. Nobody, other than you, I don't think that anybody would think they're going to get back to the finals. And so if he gets them back, he's praised.
They just swept the Raptors. They swept them.
I think Boston and Philly would be favored ahead of them.
Substantially favored. Substantially favored in front of
I think you may be overstating it a little, though. They're not going to be, like, freaking decrepit. No. Like, you still got the best player in the world.
So you wanted to play another 38 minutes a night. Because that's what it's going to take. Because they win 50 games.
So let me ask you this. What does he do under my scenario? If Kawhi's staying in San Antonio, George is in OKC, and what does he do? If he doesn't go to the Lakers by himself, what other option?
He's stuck. I mean, like I said, because I always felt that he really wanted 2 options, the Lakers or the Cavs.
Okay.
I felt that he really wanted, but he doesn't know if he can lure someone to Cleveland to join him.
Do you two remember how you were high-fiving after the trade deadline? Do you remember?
I have no recollection of that. No,
I wasn't. Chris and I
got this.
We wasn't high.
We were saying to get to the finals. We weren't saying to.
We weren't high-fiving for what was coming in. We were high-fiving for what was leaving.
Okay, but Kyrie was still upright. He was still healthy at that point, right?
Yeah.
He was.
Well, I did feel like, and it played out, that they would win the East.
Okay.
I never thought they're going to be Golden State.
So is LeBron, you told me he had his best year ever. Is he going to decline over the summer precipitously? Is he going to be half the player he was a year ago?
JR might be a third or half the player that he was last year. So then what?
Well, they would have, look, I will say this. Kobe Altman said it last night. maybe the experience of going through the playoffs.
What I said
with some
earlier.
Of these guys,
all of
them. They'll improve that.
They went through the wars with LeBron. They got to feel what it felt like.
Okay,
it's hard. It's hard to play alongside.
JR's done this 4 times, Skip.
Not JR though. Hood, Clarkson,
Larry Nance, and George Hill.
Oh Lord,
those. And Colin Sexton is a nice player. Colin Sexton will be a little better NBA player than Trae Young will be. He's a more explosive athlete. He's mentally tougher. He can finish like crazy. He's the flip side of Trae Young. He's going to have to work on his shot more, but Trae Young's just a feet-on-the-floor set shooter, three-point shooter. He doesn't have a jump shot either. So Colin Sexton will grow quickly under LeBron, if in fact it went this way. LeBron would enjoy the association with Colin because he's a great kid. He's coachable under Avery Johnson and Tuscaloosa.
LeBron like veterans.
You know, I know he does.
Smart.
I got it.
I agree. I don't think Cleveland's the greatest option, but if he doesn't go to L.A., and maybe he does go to L.A. and waste a year and get used to playing with the young kids, but they have absolutely no chance to win a championship. At least in Cleveland, you will have a chance to get back to the finals, and then you take your chances.
I was intrigued by what the Sixers did, speaking of the Eastern Conference, because they took Mikal Bridges, who's a really good basketball player, mentally tough, physically tough, hard-nosed Philly kid, Villanova product, had a locker in the Sixers locker room all year because his mom worked in HR for the Sixers, and it was a feel-good story of the night, and they let him go ahead and do his whole media session as a Sixer. And they traded him. He was Brett Brown's favorite college player. And they traded him because all of a sudden, and I know it's all the way out to 2021, but they got Miami's former unprotected first-round pick. So they added it to a stockpile. They have the Kings' unprotected first-rounder next year.
That's going to be, think about that.
You
know that's going to be good.
high.
You know that's going to be good.
So all of a sudden, does Brett Brown not have San Antonio connections? Does he not have rapport that the Lakers wouldn't have in working out a trade with R.C. Buford and Pop? So all of a sudden, they have positioned themselves. And Brett Brown, late last night, was very open about, we want to go big game hunting. We are positioning ourselves to go for broke here. So they were trying to put together a package of draft picks that they could lure Kawhi.
But here's the thing, Kawhi's made it abundantly clear. Either this year or next year, I'm going to be in L.A. Are you willing to trade that Kings unprotected draft pick for Kawhi for 1 year?
Okay, what you would have to talk him into is, we have just signed LeBron James. Will you come play with LeBron for a couple of years in Philadelphia with Embiid, with Ben Simmons, with Sorry?
I agree. I think Philly should be a big option. We've talked about that before for LeBron. And this is the thing with Kawhi. Is it Lakers or bust? Or is it Lakers are my favorite and my choice? But, you know, I'm open to something else. Because, look, he should be open to Philadelphia. And maybe the Sixers would even say, like Oklahoma City did with Paul George, let's bring him here 1 year. What if they get to the finals, which they'd have a great shot? Let's forget LeBron. Say they bring in Kawhi with the trade, and they get to the finals. Does Kawhi walk away from that? Man. Or, God forbid, I don't think they'd win the finals, but just getting there.
Do you think Kawhi, looking at Kawhi and his demeanor, nothing fazed Kawhi. Kawhi walked just a quick. No. All the success that he's had.
You think even if they got to the finals in the East, he will walk?
He won the finals. He won the finals MVP. He's won 60-plus games. Kawhi gonna do his own thing. See, Kawhi's
with that.
And maybe you're right. Maybe he's just tired of San Antonio. Maybe that's what it is, Skip. And maybe, you know, like. Hey.
But he and his uncle overplayed their public hand.
You see? You don't think the Spurs overplayed their hand either?
No, they overplayed their hand because you do not issue ultimatums publicly, which they did to the San Antonio Spurs. Trade us or you're in trouble. And that's the Spurs don't play that game. So R.C. Buford said, we won't even take the Lakers' call because they still have the rights to Kawhi Leonard all the way through next year. You say, well, what if he walks? Well, at least they have him up to the trade deadline. You don't think there would be hysteria at the trade deadline to get him?
Chris, you know, that quad is still a little sore. That quad ain't healed up yet. That quad ain't healed up yet.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, it's a little tender.
Guess what? The quad's still tender while you're sitting on San Antonio's bench.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Hey, we take another 19 million.
I do think it'd be hard for him to sit out another year. I think that would begin to affect your reputation among other clubs. But he could still go there and play great for the first few months, but still not consider staying with the Spurs. It would be harder for them to trade him at the deadline to somebody else. because then other teams are saying, I'm definitely not giving up a boatload to get him just for a couple months.
Right.
So,
Well, you'd need his commitment, but if
Yeah,
he would
yeah.
commit, you know,
it's going to be interesting. But I think Kawhi's got the most leverage right
I do too.
I think
I
he
do
does
too.
have the most leverage. But the
the
Spurs.
reason he
are-
doesn't is because he's not unrestricted.
Yeah.
He's Spurs property.
First of all, he only has 1 year. Kyrie had 2 years and forced his way out of Cleveland. Kawhi, like, I got 1 year.
Well,
Hey,
as you said, that was Cleveland's fault.
Yeah. They made
I would never done that.
They made a mistake with that.
But see, he talking about he was gonna have surgery. If you didn't, he ended up having surgery anyway. But Kawhi's a different kind of cat. Kawhi's a different dude. I don't know if we've seen a dude like him.
I think people underestimate Kawhi because he's quiet.
Yeah.
I think he's simple because he doesn't talk, but I think he's very intelligent, observant of everything.
Hear everything.
Yep.
Old Tony Parker running his yak. Oh, I'm 100 times. I was 100 times worse than his, and I'm already back.
That was 100% true statement that he made. He was 100 times more hurt. He tore his quadriceps muscle. It ruptured, completely ruptured. Kawhi had a bruised thigh, and you didn't play?
Here's what I believe would happen with that. I don't necessarily believe, I certainly don't believe Pop sent Parker out, go say something like this. I think Tony, from covering him over the years, talking to him, Tony is just blunt. And I don't think Tony even necessarily knew that it was going to be taken the way it was. I think he was just being honest in his feelings. And
that was a terrible.
think anything of it.
He rushed back last year. He was a shell of himself because he was coming back too soon from a ruptured quad injury.
Kawhi played on that ankle, though.
One nuclear option, and I don't think LeBron would do, but we've talked about Houston in the past. From what I'm told, there's tension now between Houston and Chris Paul because there was definitely some type of handshake, wink, wink, we're going to max you out last summer, you know. But here's the thing. Now they're not so sure. Houston, with good reason, doesn't want to do that. But they've got an out because they have new ownership. So Daryl Morey can go to Chris Paul and be like, I want to do it, but we got the new owner doesn't want to give you 5 years or 4 years. So if Chris does it, possibly, could Chris and LeBron go to the Lakers? Could Chris Paul go elsewhere? Which would open up Houston. I don't think LeBron would go there with them doing that to Chris Paul, and he doesn't want to be there long term. I don't think a year. But there's so much. I'm told LeBron hasn't made a decision yet.
No, he hadn't.
And because there's so many moving parts.
Fascinating stuff. Chris Broussard, thank you so much for joining us today. Next up on Undisputed, did Trae Young get picked too high last night? We'll discuss it with Eddie House next.